Here. I'm usually in the studio doing this for you guys. Let's plug this bad boy in here. And let's crank this up. See, we got some volume. All right. Okay, so now I think we are good. These are my good headphones, right? Let me make sure. Make sure these are my good headphones because one of these you cannot hear. And it looks like these are good. Just double check one more time. All right. Yeah, I think we're good, man. All right. I'm sure if you guys can't hear, you'll definitely let me know. But I think we're good. Let's see here. Da, da, da. I think we could go ahead and begin the stream. All right. What's going on? YouTube, Facebook. This is going to be posted a few different outlets. What a morning, I gotta tell you, man. What is up? Working hard for you guys. It's the one and only Lee Sanders here of the RCWR Show, coming at you guys this early morning of January 4th, 2018, minutes removed from WrestleKingdom 12. I gotta tell you, top to bottom, pretty damn good card. A pretty damn good card. I know there's probably a lot of you guys that maybe decided, yeah, you know what? I got school, I got work in the morning. I'm actually going to go on ahead. I'm going to go to bed. I'll maybe check out the highlights or whatever tomorrow. Maybe I'll figure out by then if I'm going to go ahead and check it out. You probably had did that. If that was you, and maybe I'm one of the first guys you're coming across to basically kind of get that general vibe, get the general consensus of how everybody had thought about WrestleKingdom 12, welcome. As always, make sure you hit the like button. Also, comment. Very important. And feel free to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And most importantly, share this all throughout social media platforms. I actually had checked this out while I was at my second job overnight. And I tell you, I thought this thing was going to go off like no later than 6 o'clock in the morning. So we were very, very busy this morning too because we were anticipating snow. The reports had changed like every half hour to an hour. So like at one point we were just supposed to get like an inch or whatever. And then like from the time I came in, not even there about 3 hours, it changed to, well, we could be getting anywhere between 2 to 4 inches of snow. So there was just a lot of craziness that was going on. On top of that, we have folks calling in trying to figure out if they had to come in for work, all that crazy stuff. So, and it is crazy. I'm a Chicago boy, so to hear people calling, do I have to come in today over a punk 2 inches of snow? It's like, yeah, you got to bring your ass in. But I think probably what's the biggest issue over here for a lot of the residents here in the DMV area is the fact that the winds were so strong, and overnight it felt like it was not in the low teens. It actually kind of felt like it was in single digits. So when you combine that temperature with the sharp cold winds that you got, I mean, you definitely, if you in the DMV, make sure you bundle up. I can't stress that enough. So, I mean, I got my thermo on here on top of a white shirt, and I got my jacket here, and I have my buttoned up collar jacket, cotton jacket, and I was still cold, believe it or not. So, you guys in the DMV, bundle the hell up. So look, man, let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom. Like I said, I watched this pretty much like starting at 2 in the morning, and I'm doing this and juggling my job at the same time. And I gotta say, I was pretty good at multitasking for the most part. This thing did not go off until about probably right before 8:30 in the morning on the East Coast. And I'm not going to go over like all the nook and crannies. I don't want this to be a full-blown review, but I do want to give you all a overall consensus of what I had thought overall of the card. I got to give New Japan a lot of credit. Every single time Wrestle Kingdom comes around, and you got to keep in mind, this is like their WrestleMania, right? Their WrestleMania, their version of WrestleMania. They always deliver. I've checked out a few other WrestleKingdoms, and I gotta tell you, so far, I think this is maybe my fourth or maybe fifth WrestleKingdom that I've checked out. And so far, like, this one for me has been like my absolute favorite. I'm sure if I were to go back and check out the previous ones, maybe my opinion might differ. But this one that we got this year was really fantastic. I gotta give my man Cheeseburger from Ring of Honor a lot of credit. It was really looking as though he was going to win the New Japan Rumble, as it was down to him. And I forgive me in advance if I do not pronounce the names right, because I'm still rather new to New Japan. Trust me, I'm doing my best to get caught up to speed. I mean no disrespect by messing up any of these guys' names that you hear me call out, but Cheeseburger had took on Masahiro Kageura. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I think I did a somewhat decent job, but correct me down below if I did not. It was down to those two guys, and anybody that has been following the career of Mahashito, you know he's been having some health problems. There's actually a fund that had got started up for him to help him out with his health problems. I believe I caught the tail end of it. I believe he has cancer or had cancer. He's in remission. Not really sure what's going on, but basically there was a fund that was being taken up for the guy. So it was down to him and Cheeseburger. I didn't realize until the English commentators, which was Don Callis and Kevin Kelly, this year. I know there were some of you all the past couple of years that really didn't like the combination of Kevin Kelly and Steve Corino. And a lot of you all kind of felt like they were a bit uneducated, or at least maybe Corino. I don't really see a lot of people hating on Kevin Kelly, but a lot of you guys were pretty vocal over the past couple of years saying you really didn't like the combination of Kevin Kelly, Steve Corino. Well, this year we got Kevin Kelly and we had got Don Callis. And I gotta say, for their first WrestleKingdom, they did pretty damn good together. At least to my knowledge, this is their first collaboration doing WrestleKingdom as a announced team, and they did pretty damn good. They gelled really well together. If this was not their first time together, definitely correct me down below. But for me, it was just like, wow, these guys are just they're getting along really, really well. Once they revealed what was going on with Mahashito's health, I kind of was like, he's probably going to win it. And he did win it. You had a great all-star as far as like people that were in there. Jushin Thunder Liger was actually in there. Tiger Mask was in there as well. Really awesome. It was great. That was like technically like our pre-show. After the pre-show went off, we had like 20 minutes before the actual card had began. See, we had got our first opener, which had saw Roppongi 3K with Rocky Romero taking on the Young Bucks for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. You know, if you've been checking out my show off and on for the past couple of years, you know somewhat how critical I have been of the Young Bucks over the years. And I've told you all how basically some of my gripe with regards to the Young Bucks have been they don't really sell the moves when they are on the defense. They don't really sell the moves. Like basically when they are the ones that's, okay, it's your turn now to get the ass kicking, they don't really sell that well. That probably was one of my main gripes, and also how they just kept doing moves upon moves upon moves upon moves upon moves. Just spamming spot fest is basically how I had looked at them over the years. But I tell you, it's nice to kind of take a step back sometimes and basically check certain guys out after a certain amount of months have gone by, or maybe like a year or two has gone by, to see like, okay, now that some time has passed, have you developed at all? Have you gotten a little bit more mature in the ring? And for me, I was pleasantly surprised by the Young Bucks. It wasn't filled of insane spots, no selling. as I had grown accustomed to in previous years. They had did a really good job. I love the story that was told in the ring. The Young Bucks definitely kind of slowed their roles down a little bit. Now, I'm not saying they got rid of all of those bad traits, but they reduced them just enough so that I could actually kick back and enjoy what was happening in the ring, something I haven't been able to do for a very long time with regards to a Young Bucks match. And I think those that are veterans of watching all types of wrestling from all promotions know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the Young Bucks. So I have to say, this one match that they had along against Roppongi 3K won me over big time. I was very impressed, very freaking impressed by the Young Bucks. They are moving along quite well. And I tell you what, I'm actually really happy that things did not work out with the WWE, because I think they still, as well, let me put it to you this way. I think if they would have came to the WWE back, what was that? I think it was maybe last year or 2 years ago. They had came pretty close to signing with the WWE. I don't know. When I look back on it and I kind of think about where they were at that point, timing just didn't seem right just yet. And I'm kind of glad that it didn't happen, because I just am going with my gut instincts. I have a feeling that either two scenarios would have occurred. Either they would have gotten burned out really, really quick. I won't say necessarily by the schedule. I'm thinking more so of creative direction. I'm thinking they would have got burned out that way and just asked for their release, or done some crazy, insane stuff to get themselves fired so they could basically break their freaking contract. Or maybe it just would have been a case where they would have came in. Maybe it would have ended as abruptly as James Storm. We remember how James Storm was in NXT for a hot cup of coffee and a donut, and the man was gone just like that. That might have been the same case with the Young Bucks. So I'm actually glad they did not come to the WWE. I tell you, it seems like what they have just been able to do with the many different promotions that they've been working with over the years, mainly Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring of Honor, New Japan, really seems like it's been helping them out as far as maturing in and outside of the ring. And I know they're gearing up to try to start up their own little arena thing, kind of similar to what Cody Rhodes is doing. But that was a damn good tag team match. For the 7th time, Young Bucks become the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. For the 7th time. Talk about a record-breaking number right there. Fantastic. I love that spot that they did to my man Rocky Romero on the ramp, like almost close to the stage. I mean, they gave that man one sick-ass running power bomb. My God, I couldn't believe that dude was still able to stand after that. That spot was just insane alone, let me tell you. Next matchup we go, let's see, that would have been, let me look here. That would have been, oh yeah, this bad boy. The Never Open Weight 6-man Tag Team Championship Gauntlet match that had consisted of Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Bad Luck Fale taking on Juice Robinson, Togi Makabe, Beretta, Ryu Taguchi, hopefully I pronounced that right, Toru Yano, Tomohiro Ishii versus Hanson, Raymond Rowe. You all should know those guys. Those are Ring of Honor guys. Michael Elgin, Takashi, Zack Sabre Jr. That was your 6-man tag team championship gauntlet match. It was nice seeing Zack Sabre Jr. again, because remember, we haven't seen him, if you know your promotions, we hadn't seen him really since, I would say, WWE, because he had participated in the Cruiserweight Championship. And see, I kind of got to go a little bit back and forth for the WWE fans because big bulk of my listeners are WWE fans. So I'm sure that if you guys had ended up checking out Wrestle Kingdom 12 earlier tonight / this morning, y'all probably had saw some faces that look familiar. Zack Sabre Jr. being one of them. Don't think that because the Cruiserweight tournament had ended, like that was it for Zack Sabre Jr. He was just poof, like gone, like done with the business. I mean, the man has been freaking busy. But for those of you that maybe had checked out New Japan for the first time and you're like, oh, yeah, it was nice seeing him. Still coming along. Just as I last remember, before he even got involved with the Cruiserweight tournament. And Michael Elgin, he's been a guy that somehow has escaped signing a contract with the WWE. Off and on, it's been said that there's been some type of interest in him, but seems like it's never come to fruition. The guys you definitely should have been paying attention to is Hanson and Rowe, because it's being rumored that those guys may be starting up in WWE pretty soon. I hope that's not the case, because that would be a pretty bad blow for ROH. And I gotta say, they've been holding their own in New Japan. I mean, just based off what I had saw with this 6-man tag team match for the championship, I gotta tell you, that would be a pretty sad blow, but it is what it is. What's going to be is going to be. But a great never open weight 6-man tag team match we had saw, and this was like a trend for most of the night. We had saw new champions get crowned. It was Yano, Ishii, and Beretta. They all had won the never open weight 6-man tag team championship. Some of you new guys that maybe were checking out New Japan for the first time maybe had noticed that there was like a lot of freaking titles. Hey, that's just how they want to roll, man. I gotta tell you, if you ask me straight up, do you need to know the names of these guys? Do you need to know the stories and all that? I would say when it comes to Wrestle Kingdom 12, no you don't. All you need to do is just, hey, are you a fan of wrestling? Do you like all types of wrestling? And if you do, pull up a seat, get a drink, have some good food on standby, and just relax your mind, get blown away. That's the one thing I can say about all of these Wrestle Kingdoms. Like when you watch these Wrestle Kingdoms, that's literally what you can do every single time. And so much so, like by the time you walk away, if anything, it makes you want to watch more New Japan. And I know not everybody can afford to do $9.99 a month, because 9 times out of 10, your $9.99 is either going to maybe Shine, Shimmer, Evolve, or maybe you're giving it to the WWE network, so you can only spread around but like so much. But if you have cable satellite, at least you got access to Access TV, assuming you have access to that, because Josh Barnett and Jim Ross, they're actually supposed to be coming back for a 4th season, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend. And things are going to be kicking off with them showing, and remember now, these are 1-hour shows. So things are going to be kicking off with them showing pretty much everything that went down from Wrestle Kingdom 12. But honestly, to get caught up on, like, for example, Jericho versus Kenny Omega, you might not get that for like 7 weeks, because they're just going to pretty much do it pretty much by the hour total of however long that match had took. So put in your commercial breaks and all that. Yeah, so you might be waiting 8 weeks just to see Omega versus Jericho. So if you can dig up the $10 a little sooner to check the entire event out, go for it. Next matchup, we saw Cody taking on a guy that myself, a lot of people felt was going to win the entire Cruiserweight tournament for WWE, Kota Ibushi. They tried they damnedest to get that guy to sign a deal, but it just wasn't happening, man. It wasn't happening. Cody Rhodes, blonde hair. It kind of took me back when I saw it. Apparently, he is preparing for some type of a movie role, and It called for him having the blonde hair. I'm kind of like reminded of his brother, and I'm reminded of his dad when I saw the color of his hair. I'm like, my God, talk about a spitting image. But these two guys had a classic match. I got to tell you, as long as I have been watching Cody post WWE, I've seen his stint in Impact Wrestling, which honestly I didn't like. I'm glad that was only for like a quick cup of coffee because it just really kind of came off like Impact really wasn't sure what to do with him booking wise. Not to mention the weird transitional period that Impact Wrestling was in, management wise, personnel, talent. Just seemed like a big old changing of the guard. So I tell you what though, I love what he was doing in ROH. I'm still loving what's going on with him in ROH. But since he's been working with New Japan, I gotta say, and I've seen a decent amount of his matches, what he did against Kota Ibushi was probably like his biggest test to date. For me, his biggest test to date. Now, I'm not saying it was the ultimate test. I'm just saying so far as test goes, this was his biggest one yet from New Japan. And man, did he hold his own very well against Kota Ibushi. Brandy Rhodes looking marvelous as ever, by the way, looking all ravishing. Let's pick it up towards the final moments of that matchup. Hey, there we go. You can see me a little better here. Closing moments of that matchup. We had saw a series of palm strikes by Ibushi. We also saw a modified version of the Last Ride power bomb. There was a pin attempt. Kota only got a near fall. From there, we saw Cody. He had recovered, had connected with a lariat that dropped Ibushi. Cody tries to go for a sweet disaster kick, but didn't work out. As instead, he landed in a jacket German suplex. That was only a near fall. There was a series of strikes by Ibushi, one of them being a knee to the face. Ibushi had climbed to the top, connects with a Phoenix Splash, had got a pin, and that was pretty much it. 1, 2, 3. Cody Ibushi had won that way. Great matchup. There was one match, and I don't like going that route, but if there was one of a couple of matches, let me say that I had to pick out where I'd say to you guys, go check this out, I would definitely say off the break, Kota Ibushi taking on Cody Rhodes. That's definitely worth checking out. Next up, we had Killer Elite Squad that consisted of Davey Boy Smith Jr., Lance Archer, taking on Evil and Sonata for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. I got to tell you, when Lance Archer first came out, I was under the impression that it was the Cowboy James Storm because Lance Archer came out, he had a beer in his hand, he was swigging it, and he was spitting it all over the place, and he had this nice leather cowboy hat on, and I'm telling you, you got to look at it yourself. I was under the impression that was the Cowboy James Storm, and then like once he went up to the top turnbuckle, did his little thing, took his hat off, I was like, oh, hey, it's and I actually had to see the third lower handle with the name saying Lance Archer, and I'm going, Lance Archer, really? And what sealed the deal for me going, yep, that's Lance Archer, is when he took his shirt off, and I saw that silly little, I call it the butt crack tattoo. Usually girls push it, but he's got one of those that's going on. I see he still hasn't connected it yet to like the rest of his body. I thought maybe that was like a work in progress. Maybe it still is. I don't know. But that was a pretty good matchup. Again, that was for the IWGP Tag Championships. I enjoyed that one. It was decent. It was decent. Honestly, if I were to say like 1 to 5, I would have to give this one probably like a 2.5. It felt just kind of average for me. Didn't really do the job for me. I tolerated it though. It was all right. we had saw the team of Evo and Sonata pick up the victory via pinfall to win the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Our next matchup, we had Minoru Suzuki taking on Gato for the Never Openweight Championship. This was hair versus hair. Nobody at ringside. Love this. Gato, I've been a fan of that dude. I love checking out his stuff. Anybody that's a New Japan fan, if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook at the RCWR Show and there's like something you want me to check out, 9 times out of 10, if you say, Lee, check this out with Gato, I will check it out. Because every time I see this guy, I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to get me a well-rounded, a very good technical execution matchup from Gato. I can't go wrong. I can always depend on this guy. I mean, every time I see him, it's always entertaining. I love watching this dude. Great matchup between these two guys. We had saw Gato pick up the victory. And I tell you, man, my man that lost, he didn't want to cut his hair off the break. He actually kind of had the, all right, well, you know what? Bet's a bet. We did it. All right, let me go ahead, cut my hair. Grabbed his own, I got to give him props. He grabbed his own damn chair, put it in the middle of the ring, took a pair of clippers, shaved his own head, and was like, there. Kind of like, there, you happy? He's got to do a lot more than that, though. Hopefully, when we see him again, he's going to be like Asball. I would think. We'll see. But that was a good matchup. Next one, Marty Scurll and Hiromu Takahashi took on Kushida and Will Ospreay for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Oh my God. What a fantastic matchup this was. I loved it. I'm telling you, every time I see Kushida, I love that dude. He's got like the perfect package gimmick. I love his whole Back to the Future thing that he has going on. And Will Ospreay, each time I see Will Ospreay, the guy gets better and better and better. A very good hot prospect. If there was like potential prospects that I would say to you guys, keep your eyes on this talent, because they could be not only winning championships left and right at like whatever promotion they decide they want to go holler at, but like they're going to be bringing in big money. If they're not already doing it now, they're going to be bringing in even bigger, better money in due time. The future looks bright for them. I would say Will Ospreay. That guy has come he is just coming along very well. Very well. I don't get to check out a lot of his stuff usually, but each time I do, I'm just left breathless. And what he did tonight was just off the chains, on fire. I loved it. Will Ospreay had won via pinfall to become the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Damn good match. That's another one I'd have to say you got to go out of your way to check out. I would say for that match too, scale of 1 to 5, I got to give that one a 4. So let's go back a second. For that New Japan Rumble, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. I think that's being more than fair. I'll give that a 3 out of 5. And then let's see. So that's the New Japan Rumble. I said 3 out of 5. And then let me scale back here for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. I would have to give that one a 4 out of 5 as well. I enjoyed that one as well. That's a 4 out of 5 for me. And then for Cody taking on Ibushi, that's another 4 out of 5. For the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championships, I'll stick to a 3. out of 5. I'll stick to a 3 out of 5. Let's see, what else? What's the other one? IWGP Tag Team Championships, Killer Elite Squad taking on Evo and Sonata. Yeah, 2.5. I gotta give that a 2.5 out of 5. All right, want to welcome you guys that's checking out the stream right now this early morning. Not that many more matches left. I'm going to try to get through the rest as quickly as possible. You guys appreciating the stream so far. Hey, man, you want to do me a huge favor? It would mean a lot because I watched the entire card from beginning to end. I did most of the work, so you guys did not have to. All right, give me a huge thumbs up. Make sure you comment, you share all throughout social media. Feel free to give me a follow as well. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. All right. What was it? Next matchup. We talked about the Willow Spray joint. I'm going to stick to a 4 out of 5 for that one as well. I'm giving that one a 4 out of 5 as well. All right. Let's go to our next matchup. I don't think we have that many more to go. No, we don't. According to this, I am now looking at Hiroshi Tanahashi defending his IWGP Intercontinental Championship against Jay White. I am a newcomer to Jay White. And I gotta tell you, that dude really does wrestle like a damn veteran. And I looked up how old he was. I'm like, wow, he's that young. And like his ring psychology, like where he is mentally and all that, how he's able to get all the mechanics down in the ring. I mean, he is light years ahead of his time. Just how I complimented Willow Spray, I also got to give Jay White the same regards, the same high praise. I think he's another one that you're definitely going to be hearing a lot about for years to come. That's going to be a really good hot commodity for a lot of promotions. He just, wow. I was really blown away by these two guys. Damn good matchup. And, I mean, what can you say about a guy like Hiroshi Tanahashi? I mean, he's like the John Cena in New Japan. I mean, we want to talk about dream matches, right? If I had one dream match, and I'm sure there'll probably be a decent amount of fans that would agree with me, Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on John Cena. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's with WWE. I don't care if it's with New Japan. I just want to see it. That is something I have been wanting to see for, like, I would say the past 7 years now. And I've come across Tanahashi's matches off and on, I would say, like the past 9 years. I know he's been at it a lot longer career-wise, but like every time I've seen some of Tanahashi's matches, I'm like, damn, this dude's like freaking on point, man. And like, sometimes I kind of wonder like how he would be in the WWE if he'd be treated a lot different booking-wise as, say, a Shinsuke Nakamura. That's a different topic for another time, but like, that's like the John Cena of New Japan, man. Like, every time you think like, okay, this is probably it for this dude. This dude just keeps on going. I love him. He always puts on an entertaining matchup, man. We actually saw Tanahashi retain his IWGP championship. He did that via pinfall. Closing moments of that matchup was as follows. We saw White try to come in with a modified crucifix, bunch of elbow strikes. We also saw the Kiwi Crusher pin. No mas, didn't happen. We also saw a nice bridge suplex. You talk about one of the prettiest bridge suplexes by Tanahashi. That wasn't it. That did not get him the 1, 2, 3. That only got him a near count. Tanahashi would end up going to the top rope. White had climbed back up, looking right at him. Got slapped in the face. Tanahashi hits with a high fly flow on his back. And boom. I mean, that was pretty much it. 1, 2, 3. Stick a fork in it. That joint was DONE done. Let's talk about our next matchup. We only got 2 more to go, and I'm doing fantastic. We're not even at 45 minutes yet, so we're going to be done with this in no time. It's the match that a lot of people had went out of their way to go sign up for New Japan Pro Wrestling to see. Chris Jericho taking on Kenny Omega, Alpha versus Omega. Oh my God, what can I say about this matchup? Can I tell you that this matchup and the main event matchup are my match of the year candidates? That's how impressed I was. Now, I know there are a lot more matches that, like, okay, I need to see before 2018 ends. But if I'm just going to go based on promotions individually, I always say when January hits, that's your restart. When January 1st hits, going all the way to December 31st, you have as many matches as you want. I'm paying attention to all of them. To kick off the new year, I got to say, Jericho, Omega, that's my match of the year candidate. Now, I'm not saying it would win match of the year. I'm just saying it gets a strong nod for match of the year. Jericho, having not wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling for a really damn good minute now, it was great seeing him come back. I know a lot of people are probably going to home in that had saw this event. They're probably going to home in on how thick Chris Jericho looked. Some may say he looked a little bit pudgy. Some may downright say Chris Jericho looked fat. Honestly, for me, Chris Jericho kind of had like the type of look he was going for this go round. For me, it kind of almost seemed like somewhat of a homage to yesteryear. Like, we all remember how thick he once was, like as he was coming up. And I just kind of got the vibe with him picking up a little bit of weight and growing the hair out that he was trying to go a little bit retro, but not hardcore retro. And I mean, quite honestly, so what if he looked a little bit pudgy? If you want to say he looked fat, so what? The guy's like damn near 50 years of age, and I'm telling you, I'm like about, God, what am I? I just turned 37, so what's that? I'm like 13 years away from being 50. I hope I can have as close to a build as Chris Jericho has. I'd say he's done a pretty damn good job considering. I mean, the guy's writing books. He's doing freaking podcasts. He's wrestling for whoever, whenever. He's trying to do his own goddamn cruise, of which I will be attending. I had signed up to do the cruise and all that long before the Jericho Kenny Omega joint was announced. I put my money down on the cruise, all that. So I'm a lock. I'm going, all right? That's where I'm spending my honeymoon. I had already popped a question to my girl on a side note. And she didn't know that the Jericho cruise was the honeymoon until after I told her. And then she kind of understood, because I had always told her how I wanted to do the Jericho cruise. And she was like, oh, yeah. Well, if it means you'd finally go on a cruise, yeah, we'll do it. Well, what she didn't know was that secretly I was planting the seeds of when I was going to pop the question, and then, hey, for the honeymoon, that's where we're going. And once I revealed to her the plan, she was like, oh my God, so that's why you were all gun-ho about the Jericho cruise, wanting to make sure it happens. I'm like, yes. You're like, okay, I'm with you now. So I tell you, man, Jericho looking the way he looks, damn near pushing 50. I got no problem with that. Anybody that wants to hate on his build and all, man, kiss my bumper. Just kiss it. I like it. Sit down somewhere with that bull job. Great matchup with Kenny Omega. Another guy that like is definitely the future of the business as far as I'm concerned. No, he had made the news headlines last year. It looked as though possibly he might have been coming to the WWE, or at least he was possibly entertaining the idea of coming to the WWE. But whatever, it didn't happen. I'm glad it didn't happen. I'm glad that Kenny Omega had made the decision to pretty much stay where he was. And honestly, promotions like New Japan, they benefit the most off of continuing to have the services of a Kenny Omega. I gotta tell you, this match, it lived up to the freaking hype. I enjoyed every single freaking minute of it. Was not disappointed with it whatsoever. I polled you guys right after WrestleKingdom 12 had ended, and I'm actually looking at the results coming in so far. I pretty much had gave you guys a two-parter. One just had to do with the overall experience of WrestleKingdom 12. We'll get to that in a little bit. But the last poll I put out, I asked you guys to just be straight up honest. How many of you all had subscribed? Keyword, subscribed to New Japan Pro Wrestling just so you could see Jericho versus Omega. And so far, we have 57% of you guys that said you only ordered to see Chris Jericho. 36% of you ordered it because overall you love New Japan Pro Wrestling. 7% of you are saying you're going to catch it on Access TV instead. Now, that's just via Twitter. So, depending on like where you're seeing this, you can take your pick. You can cast your vote on Twitter, or you can go to the new communities tab on my main page here on YouTube, and just click on the communities tab. You'll see the voting options, and you can actually click on there. And I will actually try to see right now if I can tell you guys how the voting for that looks. I may not have the YouTube app on my new iPad here. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have it on here just yet. But if somebody could do me a favor and go in real quick to the community tab and tell me how the votes are looking for here on YouTube and post the results below, I'll definitely share it with everybody else. I love this match. Classic. I mean, it felt like these guys went like a little bit over 30 minutes. They told a really great story. I enjoyed it. Final moments of the matchup, we had actually saw, let me pick it up right. Oh, and our referee for this one, Red Shoes. You gotta love Red Shoes. I love Red Shoes, man. Okay, so final moments of that matchup, we had saw Jericho, who was really doing a number on Omega. We had saw Jericho. What did he do? He was applying some type of a maneuver on Kenny Omega's neck, if I'm not mistaken. He was getting it nice and numbed up. We actually eventually saw Red Shoe step in to try to basically release the hold or whatever. And Jericho, though, he didn't have to because this was a no DQ match. Remember, this was a no DQ match. And eventually we had saw Jericho shove Red Shoes, the referee, okay? After that, we had saw the V-trigger land. We saw the one-winged angel connect. We saw one, we saw a two, but then Jericho had grabbed the bottom rope. Referee had no choice but to stop the count, which is kind of weird considering this is supposed to be... I'll let you guys marinate on it. I'm just going with the flow. I'm being entertained right now. I'm trying not to think too hard, all right? Like, you guys, I know you guys are kind of like thinking, wait a minute now. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. So after that, I'm telling you though, I'm not the only one that was thinking that. I'm not the only one that was thinking it. Just marinate on that for a few ticks. Marinate on that for a few ticks. You see the V trigger, and then you see the one-winged angel. You see the one, you see the two, but Jericho reaches for the rope, And Red Shoes like, nope, you got to break it. I don't know, and it's a no DQ match. That's all I'm saying. But nonetheless, man, I'm with Sterling Jackson. That had to have been a mistake. That had to have been a damn mistake, man. But then after that, closing moments of that, like I said, Jericho had shoved the ref. Let's see. Omega heads up to the top rope. Jericho shoves him down. Jericho manages to climb up. Kenny looks like he's about to go for a power bomb, turnbuckle. See what happened after that. According to my notes here, Jericho had a roll out of the way. He actually tried to look for a moonsault. We actually saw Jericho finally connect with the code breaker. The fans were actually in euphoria. I mean, paying attention to like all the hype throughout the night, I got to give the crowd a lot of credit because they were sitting through hours upon hours of matches, and for their enthusiasm, for that energy to still be live and popping from the opening match to now, I got to give them a lot of credit. True wrestling fans to the extreme, no doubt about that. So we saw Jericho connect with the code breaker, very slow going for the pin attempt. And we're thinking maybe, just maybe, the match is over. No, Kenny Omega had managed to kick out. From there, we saw Jericho try to go for another Lionsault attempt. Omega actually had threw a chair at him, then connected with the one-winged angel with the chair. So Jericho, like head, neck, back, or whatever, actually had connected with that chair. 1, 2, 3. It was a great finish. Like I said, it was well booked to a certain degree. A couple of areas that made you scratch your head a little bit. But overall, it was well booked. Love the story that they had told. And I think many of us kind of expected that Kenny Omega was going to win. I think it would have been a more interesting story. Wow, Chris Jericho wins and he becomes the IWGP United States Champion. Like, what does this mean for Chris Jericho and New Japan going forward? Like what the hell? But I have a strong feeling that we're probably going to see these two guys lock it up again. Rest assured of that. I'm really banking on it. I don't know if they'll do it again sometime this year, or maybe if they could work out some type of a deal, or who knows, maybe in October they have the second match on the cruise. Talk about the ultimate revenge. Chris Jericho gets it on his Jericho cruise. I mean, it could happen, and then everything culminates at next year's WrestleKingdom. I mean, it's very well possible. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. But that was definitely a match of the year caliber, quality type of matchup. One more time for you guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you cast your vote. You can either go on Twitter at the RCWR Show, or you can cast your vote here on YouTube. Just go to the Communities tab and let me know, was this the match that made you subscribe to New Japan Pro Wrestling World and basically pay your $9.99 to see Jericho? Or did you have different, I don't know, motivations? What was it for you? What was it for you that made you want to come out your pocket and order this? You have some nice options that I gave you. There's even a other please explain option, at least here on YouTube. You know, Twitter, you only get 3 options. I'm trying to think if there's a 4th option. I think there might be a 4th option max, but not the way it's set up here on YouTube. I like how they got it set up on here. All right, one more match. Looks like we're going to be able to do this in under an hour. Our last matchup saw Okada taking on Naito for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Damn. Like I said, man, another match of the year candidate. This was freaking awesome. Awesome. Send the folks home happy. Go out strong. This was the match. And I have been feeling my man Naito for a good minute now. I've been loving it. I've been loving seeing this guy. He reminds me of a video game franchise. Um, I'm trying to think. Isn't there a Japanese game called Persona or something like that? He kind of has that type of vibe meets Cowboy Bebop meets like Samurai Showdown meets frickin'. I mean, he's all over the place, man. I just love the dude. He's badass, man. His entrance, all that. I just dig that dude, man. And don't get it wrong, man. Rainmaker, Okada, I love that dude. I've taken a strong liking to that dude. He worked hard. That young man worked hard. Let me tell you. All right, closing moments of that matchup was as followed. We had saw, and this match went past 30 minutes. I think it almost had came in at about close to 40 minutes. Wasn't dull whatsoever, man. We had saw a point where it looked as though Okada was starting to fade, and like, man, it seemed like the energy was just out of him, and Nyato was just slapping the hell out of him. I mean, he was doing his elbow strikes, and it seemed like Okada, what little strength, energy he had, like nothing was there. He was just throwing nothing but air. It was just weak. Wasn't even phasing our dude, man. Wasn't even phasing him. And at one point, he just slapped the living hell out of him, and you're like, okay, that has to be it for sure. Like, this has to be over. And we had saw at one point, Okada, he fell to the ground, and he was slowly like trying to get back up, go to the corner and all that. Nyato charges in, gets scooped up, counters with a spinning hurricanrana. Destino, yeah, there was a Destino. Not Tostinos. Get it right, folks. I'm saying Destino. He was looking for that. That had got countered into a Rainmaker. Okada holds the wrist, though. Looks for another Destino. That connected. Got the one, got the two, but did not get the 3 count. It was a very close call. Nyato calls for it again. Gets an elbow to the face for his efforts. We then see an enziguri by Nyato. Drop kick by Okada. Striking back and forth. Okada looked for the tombstone. Actually had connected. Champion had lifted him up from there. Looked. Hey, all right. So we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Some type of lag was going on, and I accidentally had got cut off. But we're back. That's kind of cool. YouTube gives you a nice, cool option where you can resume where you left off. So yeah, closing moments of that match. We saw a nice series of counters that had came about. It pretty much had ended with the Rainmaker connecting, flipped the hell out of Nato, like upside down. We saw the 1, the 2, the 3. It was a fantastic climax. It was a great freaking ending. And still your IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Okada. Let it rain, Okada. Great main event matchup. I got to tell you. Overall, I thought the entire card was good, man. I would have to say, when it comes to these WrestleKingdoms, they never disappoint. I've yet to come across a WrestleKingdom where I kind of was like, okay, that was like the shits. I don't want to watch that ever again. All of them have been delivering, at least the ones I've been watching so far. And just on a quick side note, I know some people probably want to get my take on what Chris Jericho had to say, I guess, about dedicating his match in memory of the late Chris Benoit. I've got to actually read like a transcript or the video of what he said in its entirety. And I'll go from there, because I just like barely heard about it as I was getting ready to check out the stream for the event earlier tonight. And I really didn't have enough time to actually go in and see like, okay, what's going on. Because the last thing I wanted to do was take something that was just basically a sample bite out of context without looking at the overall, like, okay, well, what led up to him or her saying X, Y, Z. So for those of you that may be a little bit curious about what I think about what he had to say with regards to that, I'm actually going to be coming on live later on tonight, believe it or not. We actually were supposed to do our podcast, our live edition podcast Tuesday night, but I actually came down with a really bad viral cold, and I was just screwy for like the past, I would say, 36 hours. And it was really bad. I almost had to make a pit stop to the hospital. So luckily, I was able to take some quick meds and all that and get it flushed out of my system. So I'm good to go now. But yes, I will be live tonight. You'll be able to catch that here on YouTube. I will be live at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. You'll be able to catch the stream here, and you'll be able to listen over on Spreaker. Now, proud to say the RCWR Show has an app that you can download. It is available for Android. I'm working on iOS. It's going to be a good minute, though. So for you Android users, y'all got love right now. Go into the Google Play Store. You can download the RCWR Show app. Use the keywords RCWR Show, Lee Sanders, RCWR. You should be able to find it that way. And there was one other poll I asked you guys. Let's see if we can read the results of that real quick. And I definitely need to make this quick. I hate to rush, but I'm down to 14% on my phone because it has not been able to charge. Go figure, rightfully so. But let me read to you guys the last polling results here. And again, this is just a sample because we also asked you guys here on YouTube. Those that have been watching live have not been able to share the results, but I can only show you guys or tell you guys right now what's been happening via Twitter. So on Twitter, the other poll that we put up, we asked you all, how would you rate WrestleKingdom 12 overall? And so far, we have 89% of you that are giving it a thumbs up. 6% of you are giving it a thumbs down. And 5% of you did not watch, but you're saying that you're possibly going to be catching it on Access TV. That's where it stands so far. You guys got like 4 days to cast your votes for that and the how many of you subscribe to WrestleKingdom 12 to check out Jericho versus Omega. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at the RCWR Show. If you enjoyed this stream, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Share all throughout social media is one of the many ways you can help spread a good word about the content. And remember, I'm going to catch you guys later on tonight here on YouTube and Spreaker, live via the RCWR Show app. We'll dive into the very latest and wrestling headlines, and hopefully we'll see some more development with these polls since they were just put out. We'll go over the latest updates for the polls as we have them in real time. A lot of stuff to get into. It's our first new show of the new year, so be sure to tune in for that. In the meantime, I'm wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Thank you all so much for checking out this almost hour-long stream this early morning. You guys freaking rocked, especially if you had checked out New Japan Pro Wrestling. Mad props for you guys for showing up for this stream. Thank you all. I'll check you all out later tonight.